last year, some thought third-ranked Georgia would have an easy time with unranked South Carolina. But Israel Mukwamu's first-half pick six gave the Gamecock fans hope. The Dogs tied it late in regulation, but in the second OT, Rodrigo Blankenship missed from 42 yards. The Gamecocks got the huge upset. Can they do it again tonight? Find out next. It's SEC Saturday night. The Gamecocks on senior night here in Williams-Brice Stadium playing the Georgia Bulldogs. With the College Football Hall of Famer Matt Stinchcomb, I'm Taylor Zarzer. Alyssa Lang's on the field. You'll see her in just a minute. Stinch, you know all about this rivalry. Played in it 4 times. And in the last 10 years, it's been a fair fight.
No doubt. I mean, you look at it, they've split it 5-5 either side. Both programs having their successes, and most notably last year, the unranked South Carolina Gamecocks upsetting Georgia the way that they did. Make no mistake, Mike Bobo is very familiar with this rivalry, as is Kirby Smart. Both head coaches having played in this rivalry, obviously on the Georgia side of it as a player, and Mike Bobo for the first time finds himself on an opposing sideline against his alma mater in somewhat unexpected dynamic. Came in to be the play caller, offensive coordinator under Will Muschamp, finds himself in an interim head coaching position now, but two players that have now become two head coaches that know each other very well in two programs that recruit against one another, and that defeat last year that South Carolina dealt Georgia has reheated this rivalry.
Georgia's going to get the football first, and Mike Bobo had a great performance against Georgia, or South Carolina rather, 25 years ago. The only guy that's had a better one was the guy that's starting at quarterback tonight in his SEC opener, and that's JT Daniels. We'll see the football in just a moment as the Gamecocks get ready to kick it deep. Mitch Jeter kicking it to that man, Kyrus Jackson. A beautiful night for football here in the Palmetto State. Temperature in the high 50s. Big cold front coming this way tomorrow, but a perfect night for some fall football. Short kick by Jeter, and it goes out of bounds. And the kickoff specialist will give Georgia good field position to start the game. And here comes JT Daniels. What a debut he made last Saturday night in Athens.
Well, it was much awaited. A lot of folks, as a penalty is explained to us, anticipating a change at quarterback. And finally, JT Daniels really getting forced into service. Stetson Bennett separating that shoulder on the second series versus Florida. Georgia only completed 9 passes versus the Gators. Change was afoot, and it was available because JT Daniels at that point had asserted himself and shown his confidence in that surgically repaired right knee.
First play goes to the ground, and Zamir White, and White is met after a gain of 3. Dogs offense, really, it was so bizarre, Stinch, to see them almost exclusively throw the football with success on the ground. Last week they only had 8 yards rushing. White had 21. Now that 8 yards rushing does include sacks, the yards that Daniels lost, but strange to see a Georgia Kirby Smart offense struggle on the ground all night like they did against Mississippi State. A quick pass out to Jermaine Burton. Wondered if we'd see Jermaine tonight. He's been nursing a quad contusion, but he makes the first catch of the game. It'll be 3rd and short.
Yeah, it was interesting. And talking with offensive coordinator and play caller Todd Monken, he said, look, I feel like maybe I got away from the run a little too early. Mississippi State's good up front, but from a play calling standpoint, he felt like he could have stuck with it a little bit longer. Already here, a run towards the middle of the field, then a quick wide receiver screen to Burton. Pickens did a good job blocking to set up this 3rd and short.
Straight ahead to White, easy first down past midfield. Let's take a look at Dr. Pepper Fansville giving fans the keys to the game.
Well, already we've seen it. A couple of runs now from the Bulldogs. They got to get that going so that they can control the game. Defensively, find a way to get off the field. They were 6 of 8 on 3rd downs for the Mississippi State Bulldogs last week. They did a fantastic job For the Gamecocks, they're going to hit some shots downfield on offense and generate takeaways defensively.
Fakes the toss and across the middle. Wide open is Trey McKitty, the tight end inside the 20 and wrestled out of bounds near the 10-yard line.
A position that fans have been clamoring for around the Georgia program. Get the ball to the tight ends. Trey McKitty, transfer, quick shot, and already JT Daniels starting off hot in the passing game.
Graduate transfer, that is, from Florida State. This is straight ahead, and it's White who bounced it out a little bit to the right and still on his feet. The whistle does come down after a gain of a couple. Georgia has not used their tight ends that much this year, but that's the biggest play of the season for a tight end. Kitty injured in camp before the season started. Wide open to give the Dogs an opportunity to score on their first drive of the game. Daniels in zone one-on-one, and it's over the head of his intended target. He was looking for George Pickens.
Pickens was on the receiving end of the first of 4 JT Daniels passes that were for touchdowns last week. They try to air it out there, now a third down.
He was incredible on third down last week.
He was remarkable. Yeah, there's no doubt. When you saw him 10 of 11 passing on third downs, and 2 of those were for touchdowns.
James Cook in the game. Quick pass. Caught. McKitty to the goal line. Marked out inside the 1. Jalen Foster pushed him out.
You can see they were trying to get a little bit of a rub there, and looks to me like McKitty had that ball inside the pylon before he would have been out of bounds.
As the runner was short of the goal line. The previous play is under further review.
It's Alex Moore, tonight's referee, and you see Kirby Smart think he's in the end zone. Mitchell Wilkins, our replay official, will talk to Alex and take a look at whether the graduate transfer is in the end zone before Foster forces him out, and it sure looks like it right there.
Yeah, that's a great look at it. Great camera work there. Clearly still in bounds. Nothing would have established him down. Out of bounds, that right hand comes down, but not before he switches the ball to his left hand and gets it inside that garnet-colored pylon. Efficient, to say the least, on this opening drive. We talk about the tight ends becoming more involved. McKitty figuring pretty prominently in this opening possession for the Georgia offense.
They've used 5 different tight ends, one of which is Jalen Carter, the defensive player that had the touchdown against Tennessee, and they only have 14 total catches among those 5 guys coming into the game. McKitty already with 2.
After review, the ruling is a touchdown.
And that is McKitty's first touchdown as a Georgia Bulldog.
We were talking with Todd Buck, and we asked, what's the difference among these tight ends? John Fitzpatrick, big body. Darnell Washington has blocked really well as a true freshman, number 0. In 87, Trey McKitty. He said, they're all pretty similar. We clearly like something in 87. He got 2 targets here in the opening drive, and one of them, they got the Dogs in the end zone.
Jack Podlesny continues the best extra point streak in NCAA history. It's 317 in a row. 7 plays, 64 yards. JT Daniels, the quarterback for the Dogs, gets it to McKitty to pay dirt. Bulldogs with the early score. Trey McKitty with the big touchdown catch, diving to the end zone. It was really the 40-yard catch a couple plays before that set this up.
Yeah, ran it off a play action, was able to sneak him behind the coverage. He's wide open over the middle. JT Daniels padding those stats, getting the tight ends involved. It's 3 of 4 for 51 yards on that opening drive. The only incompletion was an overthrown ball trying to hit Pickens on the play right prior to McKitty muscling his way into the end zone.
Jake Camarda Kicking to Zaquandre White at the goal line, and he's coming out. And he's down at the 19-yard line. Let's send it to the field and Alyssa Lang.
Yeah, guys, we've talked about quarterback shuffles for Georgia. The same is the case for South Carolina. Tonight it'll be the freshman Luke Doty making his first start after playing the last half of the game last week against Mizzou, and he really gave this Gamecocks offense a spark that they've been looking for all season. He can run it, he can throw it, he gives them a ability to take off and run. It helps that he's built like a Mack truck, too. His teammates impressed but not surprised with his leadership. Just a week ago, offensive lineman Cedarius Hutcherson says he always walks around with a ton of energy, constantly high-fiving everyone. Mike Bobo said they used to have Positive Thursday in the building, which eventually was renamed to Doty Thursday because of his infectious positive attitude. And I can tell you, when he ran out of the tunnel tonight, he ran straight to the student section to get his guys hyped up.
I love it. Luke Doty Thursday is what's it called because of the guy's attitude. He's already got a smile on his face, and I got positive news for the Gamecocks, Alyssa. Offsides on Georgia, re-kick.
See if you can improve that starting field position. We saw Doty there on the sideline with most accomplished quarterback here in the South Carolina football program, Connor Shaw, now an on-the-field coach for the Gamecocks. It was interesting talking to those South Carolina coaches. They said they kind of remind them a little bit of Connor Shaw.
It's an even better kick than the first one, and this will give South Carolina the ball at the 25 instead of the 15. Here's Doty, the freshman from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, coming into the game in the second half against the Tigers, like Alyssa was talking about last week. Looked impressive in the last 30 minutes of the game.
He really did. And I was surprised at how well he threw the football, because we knew he could make plays with his legs. Extending plays, scramble yards. Last week, he ended up being the leading rusher for the Gamecocks. 11 carries for 59 yards. A lot of that were not called runs. He was just trying to make a play with his legs.
He's got the most important Gamecock in the backfield with him. We have another whistle. And there's Kevin Harris right next to the referee that we were talking about. Evidently some issue with the clock, and we'll see if we can get that straightened out. But
please reset the game clock to 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Thank you.
I got to tell you, Taylor, there was an incomplete pass on the opening drive for Georgia, and it looked like that clock kept running when it should have been. Probably lost 20 some odd plus seconds with that clock still running, and just put on what, another 12 seconds on the clock.
I was saying most important Gamecock. There he is, Kevin Harris, and he's met immediately by Aziz Ojulari off of the edge. Harris has been one of the best tailbacks in the SEC this season, as he is second in the SEC with 109 yards per game.
You know, other than Najee Harris, someone of his namesake, he's the best runner, has been the most productive in the conference this year.
Loss of one on the first play, tries the right side, and he'll get a couple. Tackled by Christopher Smith. Dogs are down a couple of bodies on defense. Richard LeCount, Julian Rochester, they're still hurt, not playing in the game. And we don't see Jordan Davis out there yet. There is a chance that Jordan, the defensive tackle that was hurt hyperextending his elbow against Kentucky, could play tonight. He was warming up. 3rd and 7 for Doty. Ready to throw for the first time. Doesn't see anything downfield, and he takes the sack. It's a quick 3 and out for the Gamecocks. Jalen Carter making the tackle.
A down and distance that South Carolina can't survive if they find themselves in these 3rd and long scenarios. Obvious that it would be outside of the comfort zone. Luke Doty, prior to the Missouri game, had only attempted 1 pass. It was versus Texas A&M, an incompletion. You could see him had that run option as he rolled to his left, but defense did a great job of collapsing around him.
Kai Kroger's had a good season. Kicks it deep to the 25-yard line, and tripped up is Kieris Jackson. Flag does come in after a 48-yard punt. This could pin the Gamecocks back even further.
A really nice play.
During the return, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 5. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Of course, that's Georgia that'll be pinned back even deeper. Matt Landers called for that penalty. Georgia will be back on offense after JT Daniels takes them down the field on the first drive. Back out there again here on a Saturday night. Dogs up 7-0. JT Daniels starting at quarterback, had an incredible high school career at legendary school Mater Dei, where he threw for 152 touchdowns. In fact, he didn't even play his senior year of high school. At 17 years old, he was a true freshman starter for the Trojans. But last year, he tore his ACL against Fresno State in the first game of the season. Then in May of this year, transferred to Georgia. Had to get that knee right. Made his debut last Saturday night against Mississippi State. 401 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Dogs fans everywhere saying, hallelujah, we found our quarterback.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing they did, because that running game evaporated last week. They needed all 4 of those touchdowns to come away with a victory over Mississippi State.
Straight ahead running for Zamir White.
Wow.
And look at that push from that Georgia offensive line. I think a lot of people, Stinch, were wondering how come they didn't see JT Daniels earlier than last weekend. But just remember, this is as Daniels hands off here to White and getting that big push. Remember that Daniels had that knee injury and then had to have a second surgery, and he wasn't under the supervision of USC or Georgia when he had that knee repaired.
It was just kind of floating out there, and obviously it delayed his confidence in that repaired knee.
James Cook on the handoff, first down run, and he's into Gamecocks territory, pushed out of bounds inside the 35-yard line.
Well, first you get the push from Zamir White. He got about 5 yards just pushing that pile. This time, great job. Blockers out in front. Justin Schaefer, Ben Cleveland pulling from his left guard position. Right guard pulling out in front. And James Cook, Todd Monken talked about it. He's an athlete that's developing into a tailback. He's got great skills. He's learning to be a better runner. Showed his speed there on that carry.
44 yards for him on that play. Looks like some sort of confusion in the backfield, and the Gamecocks make them pay as Jalen Dickerson and Rodriguez Fitton come around the edge. Big loss.
Well, South Carolina felt as if they could get some pressure. That time, you're running a heavy play action. And Justin Schaefer pulls from left guard, doesn't block anybody. Gets over there to the right side of the offensive front and allows Fitton to just slip his block and get upfield. As you mentioned, they also brought second-level pressure.
It's a loss of 6 on the play. Daniels will try the right sideline, and that is caught by George Pickens. Incredible catch on a one-on-one ball over John Dixon.
Well, South Carolina's down some cornerbacks. A couple of guys opting out. JT Daniels throwing at John Dixon. And George Pickens, in his first game back last week, had 8 catches. Goes up. He's so competitive in the air. Great job of shielding the ball away from the defender with his body, high pointing it and fighting it all the way to the ground.
Nobody can question his talent. This is Kenny McIntosh, and McIntosh will get maybe a yard. The defense, as you mentioned, Stench, is a mash unit. They've had all sorts of injuries and opt-outs to deal with, health issues that every team has gone through. You don't see Keir Thomas, Jabari Ellis, or J.J. Enikbari tonight out there on that defensive line.
And you're talking about, of the 12 sacks, the negative yardage type plays, that's 9.5 of your best pass rushers. 9.5 sacks that aren't represented on the field today.
Daniels throws again to Pickens, and George will get inside the 10, down near the 8, where he's tackled by Jalen Foster. He missed Pickens, the Kentucky and the Florida game back last week, and had a big one against Mississippi State.
Well, Todd Monken talked about him. He's a really talented kid, a guy that they want to continue to develop more consistency. He said you can't just run go routes and hitches. Something that he's going to refine those routes better. Looked like, I thought Pickens picked up the yardage needed instead of 3rd and short.
The give to White. White inside the 8, down near the 7, 1st and goal, Georgia.
Missed opportunity that time for South Carolina because Jabari Ellis was able to get upfield quickly, number 99, and make Zamir White kind of bubble that run, bend it away from the line of scrimmage briefly, and take it a little bit wider. White was able to get the yardage needed to get the conversion.
Back to White. White goes right at that front, and like you said, Ellis is in there tonight, but the pass rushers are not. Thomas and Enagbury are not in the game tonight, and you combine that with the injuries and the opt-outs they've had in the secondary. Now we have another, and that is Ellis.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that, they've already moved over guys. Jordan Rhodes, we'll probably see him tonight some. Number 76, former offensive lineman. He's going to play defensive line today. And, when you look at it, it's one of those issues where, especially versus a physical front, you can't afford to come in short-handed. Jabari Ellis, a guy that was one of the names that popped up repeatedly in talking with the coaches. See, big body, 285 pounds. Might have got rolled up a little bit on the inside run. They just can't afford to lose any bodies along that front in this game.
Well, you're talking about Rhodes having to go to the defensive side of the ball. Zaquandre White, who's a tailback, who's been going back and forth from running back to linebacker the last couple of years. He's had to switch back for Coach Bobo and Travaris Robinson's defense. 2nd and goal, Georgia. From the 6-yard line, James Cook is back in the game. And this a toss to Cook. Easy around the left side. Touchdown. He's learning how to be a tailback. He is one heck of an athlete.
He's definitely got this run play down. As you see, once again, a couple of fold schemes, pin and pull at the point of attack, where you create angles, get down blocks, and then you pull big bodies out in front, just like the long run that Cook hit earlier, this time to the left side of the formation, again into the boundary, and that time ending in the end zone.
Podlesny with the extra point, 9 plays, 82 yards. And a bunch of people looking like Matt Stinchcomb pushing James Cook into the end zone. All Georgia Bulldogs in the first. James Cook may not possess the stats of a big-time college tailback, but he possesses all of the talents that you need at the next level these days. Being able to catch a ball out of the backfield and run it when you need to as well. 14-0 Georgia here in the early going.
Yeah, Todd Monken said when he was with the Bucs, they looked really hard at his older brother, Dalvin Cook. So he thinks James Cook has more skills than him, just not as good of a runner.
Well, South Carolina's had a lot of opt-outs so far this season, but not from Cedarius Hutcherson. When the offensive lineman was asked this week about staying here, here's what he said.
It just wouldn't be right for me to leave. And at the end of the day, I'm finishing out. I was raised that way. My mom and dad always raised me to finish anything that I started. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish these last 2 games like a man, regardless if we win or lose. But I'm not going to trade these guys for anything in the world.
I know that means a ton to any team, guys, who's going through anything like this, a coaching change with just a couple of games left in the season. Mike Bobo, though, not surprised, saying that's just who Cedarius is. He's a leader.
Hey, boy, is he, as Doty is run out of bounds to get a yard. And Stinch, this isn't a shot at the guys that did decide to leave. Each situation is different. And in this COVID time that we're living in, no one's passing judgment. We know this, though. Cedarius Hutcherson will be proud of the decision he made for the rest of his life.
Well, it's definitely a team-oriented decision, no doubt. Selfless to stick it out like this and finish what he started.
In the 2nd and 9. That's caught by Jalen Brooks with Shi Smith out of the lineup due to a concussion. Xavier Leggett out as well. Jalen Brooks might become South Carolina's go-to receiver in these final 2 games.
He was kind of plagued by drops when he first got back out there on the field. that can be expected, anticipated, knowing that he had been on the shelf, wasn't eligible to play, but he is the deep threat. He is the one that can stretch the defense if we see any downfield throws.
Under center goes Doty. In trouble, tries to throw it back to Harris, but he's under heavy pressure in the backfield, and that is Jalen Carter forcing the 4th down.
Jalen Carter, it looked like he was clearly going to chase the fake to Dakarian Jordan. And then he comes off of it, realized that Doty still had the football. They were trying to set up a screen back to the left side of the formation. Instead, Carter hits Doty with the belly-to-belly suplex.
Jordan Davis not being able to play tonight, and Jalen Carter, the true freshman, picking up the slack. Fair catch made by Kieris Jackson.
Fair catch at the 22-yard line.
Just outside the 20-yard line. Tonight we'll have SEC football final, hosted by Dari Noko with Gene Chizik and Chris Doring. They'll take you through the biggest stories from the day and break all the college football games down. It's at 10:30 Eastern right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Is Doring really going to make it back for that tonight after calling the Gators and the Kentucky Wildcats today?
How versatile is Chris Doring?
Ah, man.
I'll tell you what, bet they were glad to have him down there in the swamp. They probably felt like they needed him there in the first half.
Yeah.
Kind of tough sledding for the Gators early on versus Kentucky until they got that punt return.
Trask and company got it going. Georgia's having no trouble in the first quarter here. Another carry to White. And JT Daniels has looked great since the first 2 drives. 5 of 6, 74 yards and a touchdown. And
this is really what the offense is to look like. You see Zamir White. Man, the yards after contact in this game already. Another tough run for him and by him. As you see Ernest Jones down on the field for South Carolina, the frustration showing. He is the leader of that defense.
Without any question.
Came into the game leading tackler, 85 total tackles coming into this one. A little nicked up, it looks like.
Let's go back down to the field and Alyssa.
You guys were talking about JT Daniels and just how excited Georgia fans are to see him play again. Well, Kirby Smart described JT as type A, says he asks questions about literally everything all the time to the point where he drives offensive coordinator Todd Monken crazy. So obviously we had to ask what kinds of questions. He said they're so specific and so many I can't even think of an example, but he asks a lot. He is always dialed in.
Monken was just shaking his head at how prepared he is. Another handoff to White, to the point where you could argue that he's over-prepared. Just has this incredible obsession with the game. And in fact, Todd said that the only other quarterback that does this kind of film work and understands the game that he's been around is Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Ivy League grad playing for the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a big brain to be compared to. Good-looking beard.
Starting tomorrow for the Jets. Tua's thumb is banged up. This is a handoff to McIntosh, and McIntosh has the first down as Zapile carries him past the 45-yard line. Boy, Georgia just going right at that South Carolina front. That's 13 more.
A split zone. Watch Trey McKinney on the backside. Nice push. Nice push right at the point of attack. Unsurprising. We talked about it coming into this one. Kind of a skeleton crew defensively for South Carolina, and Georgia certainly taking advantage of that. Some strong runs, some nice holes on the inside.
McIntosh again with wide open space in front of him. Cuts it back inside the 25, down near the 20 before he's finally tackled. Big gain for the sophomore from Fort Lauderdale. It's 34 yards.
It's pretty good vision. You see him nice cut back. That hole was about 4 yards wide, right along the line of scrimmage. These running backs, they're getting free entry into the heart of that South Carolina defensive front.
White out, McIntosh out, White back in. And here's Zamir. And look how wide open that space is. Just the easiest touchdown you'll ever see. 22 yards for Zamir White.
Nice backside cut on another zone run. Really nice push. along the front. Watch him see it on the backside, see the backside hole open up. Jamari Salyer did a great job getting up. JT Daniels knows it. They didn't run the football well last week versus Mississippi State. They're going to do so tonight.
Only 8 yards rushing last week against Mississippi State. Already 151 in the first quarter.
Zamir White had been doing a lot of workhorse carries already early on in this game. And it felt like what he's going to do is just going to wind this run back. You see the zone. All those offensive linemen are going to step to their right. Watch him wind it back. Good job by Salyer getting up on the second level, covered up linebackers. I'm not sure Zamir White was touched on that touchdown run. That's an offensive front for Georgia that was probably embarrassed a week ago. They protected relatively well, but they did not run block well at all. And they didn't handle the movement of that Mississippi State defensive front. And it undid a rushing attack that was intended to complement JT Daniels in his first start coming back. They are definitely asserting themselves and taking advantage of some of the deficiencies of the South Carolina personnel.
And Kirby Smart said we were running the ball somewhat effectively early in the game and got away from it. I wonder if that was due to JT in his first game trying to feel things out. Nevertheless, back on track as that one.
I don't think we've had a clean kickoff yet. I think we've had a flag on every kickoff so far. 100%.
This will be marked at the 35-yard line.
Free kick out of bounds, kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line, first down.
You know, we showed at the beginning of the game Israel Mukwamu's pick six. He had 3 interceptions in that win against Georgia last year, and Will Muschamp celebrating. Both those guys are gone. Jake Fromm, of course, gone on this other sideline. So many faces have changed. Now you've got Mike Bobo as the interim head coach against his old team tonight. And the Gamecocks, shorthanded, doesn't even suggest how bad the situation has been for South Carolina in 2020. This is a quick throw out of the backfield. It goes to Josh Van, and Van will get past the 40-yard line.
Nice play design that time. Get the ball outside. As you can see, Coach Bobo's been around the game a long time. He's the head coach at Colorado State for 5 years.
To the ground, and Harris bouncing off Georgia defenders. First down, Gamecocks.
That run from Kevin Harris. We talked about him at the top. The top rushers in the conference, the most physical runner in the conference. I'd co-sign on that. Nowhere to come, nowhere to go at the point of attack. And they're bouncing off of would-be tacklers. That's the second time he's come up and stomped Christopher Smith. 29 for Georgia. Getting a mouthful of number 20 a couple of times now.
Doty, little trickeration, back to Doty, down the field, caught inside the 20-yard line. It's Nick Muse, the tight end.
And why not? You hadn't done much offensively. Handoff, fake reserve, reverse, flea flicker to your second leading, at least available receiver, Nick Muse, tight end.
Now to the ground in Harris. And Harris shoves Eric Stokes after a pickup of a few. That was a 35-yard play that put them in this position.
Well, we talked about it at the top. The keys, get a takeaway defensively. Hadn't seen that, but you got to take shots on offense, and now they're in the red zone.
Quick throw, it's Brooks with Muse blocking in front. First and goal, Gamecocks.
Great job by Brooks breaking that first tackle. He picked up another 4 yards, and you can see South Carolina trying to stay tempo.
Harris, and he's wrestled down at the 2 after a pickup of a couple, as that's Lewis Seen with the tackle.
If there's going to be a safety coming up to make a tackle on Kevin Harris, Lewis Seen's not a bad option. As you see him Pretty violent looking tackles. You see Kevin Harris trying to say, hey man, horse collar right there? No, it was a clean tackle. Not always a good idea to go up high on number 20.
Doty keeps it himself. Try the edge to the pylon. Marked out short of the goal line.
Dangerous there at the end of the run as Monty Rice was able to race Doty to that corner of the end zone in the pylon as the quarter expires. What an answer in this drive offensively for South Carolina.
Short of the goal line. That is the end of the first quarter.
We'll see if they take another look at this. Kirby Smart's offense was fantastic in the first frame, gashing South Carolina play-by-play down the field. The Gamecocks are on the doorstep at the end of one here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Luke Doty trying to give the Gamecocks some points. Dogs up big, 21-0 at the end of the first, but the Gamecocks are on the doorstep at the 1 yard line. They had to go 98 yards from one 1 yard line to the other at the end of the first quarter. Stench, what does Luke Doty and the Gamecocks, what do they do here on this 3rd and goal from the 1?
Well, as we mentioned, one of the most physical runners, a full house backfield.
And the give goes to Harris easily into the end zone, following those two fullbacks. Adam Prentice and Javon Gwynn both lined up in the backfield.
They lined up in this formation last week. You move Sedarius Hutcherson over to the right side, bring in an extra lineman and allow Javon Gwynn to be a lead blocker. Thought to be the strongest player on the South Carolina roster. And it's fitting that Kevin Harris is able to bull his way into the end zone.
8 plays, 65 yards, one of the best in Gamecocks history. Parker White with the extra point.
Look at the point, really well blocked. Kevin Harris could have walked into the end zone. You see Nazir Stackhouse in there for Georgia. Georgia down a couple of D linemen. Jordan Davis unlikely to play in this game, and this Kevin Harris kid, boy, has he been impressive. He started the season early, 88-yard run versus Vanderbilt, showing the speed that he has. He's been pretty physical early on in this game.
Kirby Smart says he's the best downfield runner in the Southeastern Conference. Certainly has had a terrific season in what has been a dark spot in 2020 for South Carolina with only the 2 wins. It's not fair to give your old buddy Mike Bobo that much time to call up a play, though.
I'll tell you what, that was an impressive drive, an important drive. You know, your defense just got run right through. How do you answer? You only had 11 yards of offense before that drive. That was an impressive, creative play calling. And Luke Doty did a good job, 4 or 5, 55 yards to get him on the doorstep.
Jeter again kicks it out of bounds. It's the 3rd one we've had. 2 for South Carolina and 1 for Georgia so far in this game.
Maybe over the Thanksgiving break, did they narrow the field or something?
Free kick out of bounds, kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line, 1st down.
It's all the dressing, Stench. It just gets to your head, makes you kick sideways, I guess.
I'll tell you what, check out the women's soccer team.
That's right.
Get somebody else to kick off. It worked out for Vandy today.
What a story that is.
That was impressive.
A historic day in college football, to be sure. Sarah Fuller did a good job kicking off. She kicked it to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, kept it in bounds.
On purpose. Now Daniels back on offense. Play action. He wants to load up, throwing the deep ball. Underthrows Jermaine Burton, who was wide open.
We saw that a couple of times, even last week. As many deep shots as Georgia hit, a couple of underthrows. You see Burton, he's running open, and he was kind of checking up on his route because he could tell that ball was going to be a little bit behind him. JT Daniels just didn't get enough on that throw. Otherwise, Burton makes it to the end zone if he hits it in stride.
2nd and 10. And the handoff goes to Cook, and he's straight ahead with a big hole. It'll be 3rd and short for Kirby Smart's offense. An injured Bulldog down there, Jamari Sawyer. Kirby, with the 2 losses, has reminded Bulldogs fans how much they have played for in the 5 years he's been the head coach. And I know the big issue this year has been quarterback play. He said we needed to get JT Daniels under our care. The guy didn't arrive on campus until August. Had to see him practice a bit before he could really know what kind of quarterback he had. We'll talk more about Daniels in just a moment as they check on Sawyer. Timeout on the field. Jamari Sawyer off of the field. Xavier Truss coming in at left tackle for Kirby Smart on offense on this 3rd and 4 for Georgia. His quarterback, JT Daniels, has been outstanding on 3rd downs in his first 2 games. He's 3 of 3 tonight. Has to get to the 45-yard line.
Alert the back out of the backfield. You got James Cook in there as well.
Daniels with all kinds of time. Takes too much time. And finally is sacked by Zach Pickens.
That's a bad play by JT Daniels. Not only do you flush right into this rush, Warren McClendon, the pocket is not, you don't have to escape right there. And you actually had James Cook. Get rid of the football. Give your running back with the ball in space a chance to make a play. He wanted more, pulls it down, and Pickens with a big sack and a negative yardage play.
Jake Camardo with a booming punt. He's only had 2 returned all season because he puts them so high in the sky, and he does it again there. It's a 50-yard punt with no return. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Allstate.
How can South Carolina's offense maintain that momentum? They did a great job on 1st downs that last drive. Setting themselves up, staying ahead of the down and distance, setting themselves up with 2nd and 5 so that they could maintain that momentum on the heels of a big defensive stop.
Kevin Harris comes back after the touchdown run. Standing next to Doty and takes the handoff. And he's tackled after a couple. It'll be 2nd down. Stinch, how would you describe Mike Bobo as a play caller, a guy that was the Georgia quarterback for 4 years, an offensive coordinator there forever, and now the head coach and play caller for the Gamecocks?
Well, you know, a lot of plays lead to other plays. You'll see a fake off of a play that hit earlier or a play that didn't hit. They'll run a fake Q counter and run a sweep opposite. Everything stacks up and adds up to something else.
Fake to Harris. Doty steps up, throws a one-on-one ball to Muse, and here comes the flag. That's Lewis Seen. Kirby Smart doesn't like it.
They ran heavy play action, and Javon Gwynn got all tripped up.
Pass interference, defense number 16. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot with an automatic 1st down.
So you got a matchup with Nick Muse covered by a safety. I don't see PI there. That looks like a well-played ball in the air by Seen. And the ball's really high. Both of them are going up for it. I don't see where there could have been a PI. It's probably, obviously, oftentimes you see coaches who are on the receiving end of those penalties argue against it. That time it looked like it was warranted regardless. PI giving them a fresh set of downs and picking up a free 15.
At the 40-yard line, back to Harris again. Kevin, 1st down run into Georgia territory.
That's one of their best run concepts. They're able to pull a couple of linemen, call it the moon sweep. It's the old buck sweep. Get your 2 guards or guard and center out in front. Same play again.
13 yards on the last one, and this one goes inside the 40. Nice play on first down. It's funny how that terminology has changed as the years have gone on, Stinch, whether you call it a buck sweep or a moon sweep or whatever you call it. It's timeless, isn't it?
Well, it's all these guys that come out of the same kind of coaching tree. And, you know, they call it the moon sweep at Georgia because they learned it when Kirby Smart was coaching under Saban.
Out of the game goes Harris, and into the game goes Rashad Amos, the freshman from Fayetteville, Georgia, pressed into action after Zaquandre White had to switch sides of the field and play some defense. He'll get some carries tonight with Deshaun Fenwick.
How about that play design? A delayed handoff, wait for the defense to react out wide, and then run a draw right up the middle.
Down to the Georgia 35-yard line. Amos still in the game, and it's a design quarterback run for Doty, and he's tripped up in the backfield as Zion Logue and Malik Herring got an arm on him. You know, Kirby Smart was saying, going from playing Mississippi State to South Carolina, conceptually on offense is as big a transition as you can make in college football from one week to the next.
Yeah, I mean, you got one team that almost never runs the football, throws it almost exclusively, and then of course Coach Bobo, he's going to run. You'll see a tight end, you'll see I formations, which is something that I'm sure a lot of these defensive players for Georgia, they might not have ever seen an I formation.
Now we see another whistle.
False start, offense number 5. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
And I think that those that have been college football fans for a long time are so conditioned to an I formation. Stinch, you don't almost ever see huddles and quarterbacks under center. And on the touchdown run, we saw a fullback.
Yeah, isn't that something? I mean, that's a legal formation. There's sometimes we saw 2 fullbacks, right? A full house backfield even. It's just something that forces defense to play left-handed. They're not built for those types of personnel groupings anymore. Then you add in a running quarterback.
2nd and 15 now. Doty underneath, wise throw to Harris. Gets something out of nothing past the original line of scrimmage. Tackled by Rice.
We talk about Kevin Harris as a runner, but as a receiver as well, probably unheralded. Came into this game with 16 receptions, something that's part of Mike Bobo's offensive philosophy. Those running back positions, not just a ball carrier. You're going to be a receiver out of the backfield. 3rd and long. We've already seen there, Doty narrowly getting that football off. Georgia, the best team at pressuring the passer in the Southeastern Conference, and this is an obvious passing down.
Underneath, Harris, breaking tackles, first down.
Well, there it is. It was meet me at the quarterback for the Georgia defense. Doty stands in, checks it down to his back. Poor tackling. Nazir Stackhouse just sliding off of Kevin Harris, who battles his way to the first down.
Amos back into the game, trying the right side, and he'll get a few. It'll be 2nd down, tackled by Eric Stokes.
You mentioned Amos in there. No Deshaun Fenwick available for South Carolina in the offensive backfield. No Shi Smith, one of the top receivers in the Southeastern Conference. South Carolina lost him on their 2nd series, only the 6th play of the game last week. Had 54 catches for the Gamecock offense.
Amos again, this won't work. That's a loss on the play as Quay Walker comes in there to make the tackle. It'll be 3rd down.
They're trying to get the ball outside. The Georgia defensive front, they don't cede any ground and allows Quay Walker to run untouched. It's almost like a ball carrier. He's able to get into that offensive backfield. Nobody impeding his progress to get to the ball carrier.
Well, South Carolina is going to be a run-first team, but as you said, this is another obvious passing down, another underneath throw, and it's incomplete into traffic looking for Josh Vann. It's 4th down.
Could have had a chance on that one, and Doty was high with the ball. trying to get the ball to Van on a tunnel screen. Georgia brought pressure. They end up bringing 6 defenders. See him get upfield. If he catches that cleanly and underneath, Van's got a chance to pick up a first down and more. Instead, Doty too high, too hot with that throw.
Parker White to try this 40-yard field goal to make it an 11-point game. Fifth-year senior from Mount Pleasant. He's had an outstanding career. He's got one heck of a leg. 21-10 is the score between these old SEC rivals in Williams-Brice Stadium. 21-10, the new score between these old rivals. It even predates them both being in the same conference. 40 years ago was one of the best moments in it.
Today you'll see 2 of the top running backs in the country, George Rogers, South Carolina, and Herschel Walker, Georgia.
And they run a trap with Herschel Walker, got a hole by 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Herschel, there goes Herschel. Man, did he turn it on when he had to.
Herschel had the best day. Rogers won the Heisman Trophy. Herschel and the Dogs won the game and the national championship. You see George's numbers, over 5,200 total rushing yards in his 4 terrific years for the Gamecocks. And we got Munson and Keith Jackson in the same
That's
call.
amazing. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 2 Heisman Trophy winning tailbacks, the 2 Hall of Fame broadcasters.
This is Jackson coming out. Wise decision past the 30-yard line. Usually those don't pay off. This one does, as he gets all the way up near the 35. Jackson and the Bulldogs have had one of the best kickoff teams in college football this year in terms of return yardage.
Jackson, not just as a return man, kind of paced that wide receiver core for Georgia. It took some time to get Jermaine Burton as a true freshman kind of up on his skis in this offense. They moved Jackson into the slot. Obviously George Pickens missing a couple of games, slowed things down. Here's Jackson, the 31 catches coming into tonight. He had been the main contributor in the passing game.
McIntosh, no place to go, somehow gets something out of nothing. Alyssa, I see Jamari Sawyer back out there.
Walking around on the sidelines and really testing that right leg. He was limping on it for the first few minutes. Like I said, in and out of the injury tent, did some jogging, got down in his stance. He's back out there, but I'd keep an eye on his position.
It didn't look like there was much. Like he got rolled up a little bit maybe on his ankle. It looked at first like they were assessing his knee. Good to see him back out on the football field.
Nice pickup of 6 yards by McIntosh on that play. Now it's Zamir White, and just look at that hole. By the time he has the football, there's already a wide open space in front of him. That's a 10-yard gain.
Just a huge hole here. Left side of the offensive front behind Sawyer. Look at him cover up. Does a great job of climbing. Muhammad Kaba in there at linebacker. They're short-handed at linebacker as well as South Carolina. True freshman. And when you get untouched all the way up to the safety, Jamie Robinson making business decisions to tackle Zamir White.
Once again, White getting inside the 45, down to the 44. There's no question that if Georgia's going to be successful, not just this season, but into the future, that their ground game must be great, combined with a terrific quarterback. Zamir White, James Cook, and Kenny McIntosh, all underclassmen, though Cook is a junior and Zamir White is a redshirt sophomore.
And they've needed to be better. Needed to be better on first and second down coming into tonight. Averaged the longest distance to go on third downs was 7.5 of any team in the conference.
White out, McIntosh in, and tackled immediately by Kaba. No gain, third down.
That time Kaba does a great job getting outside. See once again, pulling lineman, Trey Hill, Jamari Sawyer. Trey Hill doesn't get all the way outside. Kind of lays a hand on Kaba, otherwise untouched. no gain is set up this 3rd and 5.
Sticking on the ground, easy first down for James Cook. He did step out of bounds at the 32-yard line. All 3 of the Georgia tailbacks being used on this possession.
We talked about on a previous 3rd down. James Cook in there, could be a receiver. Could hand it off to him on a 3rd and 5. You usually get light boxes, fewer defenders in the tackle box. From tackle to tackle, get an opportunity to pop a run as Georgia did there.
14-yard pickup for the junior from Miami. Fake to James this time, and it's to Pickens, who had trouble making that catch at first. Grabs it at the 29-yard line.
Pickens gesturing to the sideline. Hey, what do you want me to do? They fake the zone. JT Daniels flips it out there. Pickens, he was looking to make a move before he had that ball all the way looked in. It's run after the catch, something that Todd Monken talked about. That's something that Pickens has focused on, getting those yards after the catch.
Talent is not the issue. It's learning how to play the position fully. How about James Cook? Nobody touches him. Touchdown, Bulldogs.
I don't know that James Cook has to deviate at all. He runs right down the hash. There's just nobody there. It's a great job along the line of scrimmage repeatedly. The Georgia front creating enormous holes for these running backs to run through.
29-yard run to the end zone. And after the Gamecocks had scored 10 unanswered, offensive coordinator Todd Monken goes to the ground 6 of 7 times on the drive, culminating with the touchdown run by the junior from Miami. All Georgia in the first half. Bulldogs only had 8 rushing yards last week in the victory over Mississippi State. They have 208 in the first half against South Carolina tonight. James Cook is near the 100-yard mark and has 2 touchdowns.
It's been quite a night for Cook. 5 touches for 90 yards, couple touchdowns, explosive runs. And as good as the backs have looked, credit that offensive front because they have created enormous holes all night long.
Gamecocks will start at the 25-yard line. How wide open was this hole here?
Yeah, they're just doing such a good job. Watch the backside. They're just going to work hats on hats. And you watch these defenders at the second level, they're just getting covered up. You see right here, late leak on the linebackers. Linebackers are covered. The defensive linemen are getting displaced. And the running backs are just running full head of steam. Not seeing guys having to throw any moves in the backfield. It's just run the football, bang your head on the goalpost.
Well, last 2 drives South Carolina's had in an offense have resulted in points. See if Mike Bobo, Kevin Harris, and Luke Doty can do it again. Going to the ground for 4 more.
Aided a little bit by that pass interference on the previous drive, but regardless, 11 plays, 57 yards, results in that field goal, and it was set up because of efficient plays on first down, just like the one they got from Kevin Harris on that opening run.
Doty throws a little quick pass to the sideline, and it's caught by Jakari Caldwell, just short of the first down. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Jakari Caldwell, another guy, true freshman, pressed into service. Wearing Brian Edwards, record-setting receiver, his number.
What a career he had. Doty hands it to Harris, and Harris looks like he's short. He is half a yard short. It's 4th down. Now, I know that Coach Bobo wants to be aggressive tonight. It's 28-10. South Carolina only has 2 wins on the season, and he said, we're going to go for it a bunch tonight. Does he do it in the first half with half a yard to go on his own 34-yard line?
When we're talking with Kirby Smart, we're saying, what's it like coaching opposite a situation like this? Coaches enter an interim status. We're saying, look, you know, what do we got to lose? We rolled the dice here. You're at 4th and what? Not even a foot. We didn't see him come out and measure.
He's going to call timeout and think about it here. We'll see what he decides in just a moment. Gamecocks are going for it on their own 34-yard line in the first half. Down 28-10. Mike Bobo figuring this is the only way he can beat his alma mater. Playing keep away. Hands to Harris. No way. Not even close. Now Harris with the second effort.
Wow.
There was never a whistle. The Dogs gave up on the tackle, and Harris got it.
He was stopped, except he wasn't. Look at this penetration. Ojulari just slides right down. Didn't play Luke Doty at all on the keep, which is what they were counting on. What an effort by Kevin Harris.
It sure was. Harris gets maybe a yard on the next play. Ojulari and Monty Rice both came in there, and Harris slips out of Ojulari's hands to give the Gamecocks new life. And South Carolina does get the football first in the second half. So there's a real chance Georgia doesn't see the ball again if South Carolina can continue this drive.
Back-to-back possessions is what you're trying to get, and also deny the other team's offense a chance at your own end zone again.
Underneath throw to Harris as they continue to get it to their best playmaker. And Harris tackled in space by Tyreek Stevenson. It'll be 3rd down, clock still running.
A good job, man. Just checks it down. Harris out there, swing pass, right out of the backfield. Stevenson, that's a load. The Tyreek Stevenson's coming up to try to make a tackle on, and Kevin Harris. Still, what an effort on that 4th and short.
3rd and 4. Gamecocks just 2 of 6 on this play tonight. Doty slips a tackle, gets out of bounds up at the 46-yard line. That's enough for a first down.
This is the old version of a run-pass option. All these sprint outs. Boy, might have got a favorable spot there right on the line of right at the boundary. They're going quick.
Well, he tried to get it off, but I think they're going to take a look.
He may have gotten it, but it's close.
As the runner made the first down, the previous play is under further review.
You can see, I think you can hear Mike Bobo saying, whoa, I think we got that ball off before you stopped play. Now, I got to tell you, it did. It looked almost like South Carolina got this next play off, but you see Doty, watch him tightrope down the boundary. Extended the ball. I don't know that he did. It looks like he kept it tight in his right arm. He's got a high and tight there. Kind of loose there for a moment. It's tough to tell. I don't know that you got enough.
I think initially Kirby Smart and the Georgia staff was probably wondering if he stepped out at the 44. It didn't appear so, and like you said, Stinch, doesn't look like there's enough to overturn it. You would think the call stands. Although the season we're having with these predictions on the calls, maybe we'll just sit back and watch.
I can't believe you even went out on that limb. That's a rickety branch.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
All right.
First down, South Carolina.
We got one right. We missed you, Matt Austin.
You were due. We were due. I got to tell you, it looked like South Carolina got that next playoff before they stopped. But he had to get to the 46. You see the change. You're dropping the chains there. He's in bounds. He's out of bounds. But that ball right there, the 46-yard line, it's a good call out there on the field, I believe.
So Gamecocks keep it with 1:13 to go. First down. Now Amos in the backfield. Doty in trouble, gets rid of it right at the last second. And Rashad gets past midfield. Boy, Doty took a hit from 2 Georgia defenders.
He doesn't lack for courage. That's a couple of times where he's gotten sandwiched in the backfield. Checked it down again. They were trying to get it to Jalen Brooks over the middle. Couldn't get it downfield. And yeah, he gets grilled once again. Jermaine Johnson blowing the boom.
This is Muse, first down Gamecocks, out of bounds inside the 40.
You're saying they want to get the ball more to Nick Muse. They have to. No Shi Smith. He is their most reliable receiving option. It's come up big a couple of times.
Continuing to go quick and just taking what the defense gives Doty. All these underneath throws. South Carolina is so limited by downfield receivers due to opt-outs and injuries. So instead, use the tight end, use your backs out of the backfield. Doty's done a good job of that so far tonight. 10 of 12 passing here in the first half. Under pressure, and he's tackled down near the 30 at the 31-yard line. Timeout, Gamecocks with 49 seconds left.
That time, excellent coverage downfield. Nowhere to go with the football. And we saw last week, Luke Doty, how effective he can be when he's innovating, scrambling, extending plays. Second down, couple of nice runs versus Missouri just to keep drives alive. Haven't seen a ton of runs from him here tonight, but you can see that he can be elusive.
Marty Smith and Ryan McGee are good friends. Have some fun and talk everything SEC Wednesday at 2 Eastern right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. A little afternoon special from Marty and McGee this Wednesday. Luke Doty's looking pretty good out there tonight, Alyssa.
It's about some of those challenges that Georgia has, certainly defensively, preparing for Mississippi State one week, then South Carolina the next week. Not a lot of sample size from Luke Doty, just that second half against Missouri. Kirby Smart said they had to pull his high school tape to prepare for him.
From the 31-yard line on 3rd and 2, he's going to be tackled short of the line to gain. He was trying to take it himself, but gets tackled by Nolan Smith.
I'm surprised the flag didn't come out right there. Well, one of two things happened, because South Carolina moved early along the offensive front, but only after Georgia did this defensive line shift, something that they always do. But there was definitely movement before the snap.
And South Carolina waited until there was 30 seconds left to call that final timeout. Let's look again at what you're talking about here.
Well, I mean, there's no question that there's movement early. And a lot of times, what that's elicited is caused by that shift along the defensive front. Georgia does it a lot. They get a lot of teams to jump, but there's no question that there was early movement. No flag came out.
It's a little surprising that Coach Bobo called that timeout with 30 seconds left. I thought he might let the clock run down to attempt a last-second field goal here. Instead calls timeout and appears he'll keep the offense on the field and still try to see if he can get a chance to get 6 points instead of 3. Of course, you run the risk of getting nothing if you don't get the first down here.
Exactly, but makes more sense why he would have called the timeout earlier. If you're thinking you're going to just try to knock one through the uprights, instead he wants to have multiple cracks at the end zone.
And now Georgia will call timeout.
First charge time of the half, Georgia. 30 seconds.
Down to the field for our favorite promo of the night.
Is that thinking out loud?
It
Yes,
sure is.
I think it is. Guys, Monday nights, I know you're always DVRing it if you're not watching it live. 7 o'clock Eastern time on the SEC Network. Join me, Richard Johnson, Brandon Boykin, and Spencer Hall. It's an hour of nothing but SEC talk. Yeah, we take you outside the conference a little bit. Got to catch up on college football playoff talk, but it's the most fun hour easily of your entire Monday through Friday. Come hang out with us. You won't regret it.
I don't know if Stinch can telly crossing out the loud and right in Lang, thinking out Lang. Monday nights at 7 Eastern time. Of course we're watching. You're usually texting us, Alyssa, while the show's going on. Alyssa has more TV shows than anybody in the company now. She's got 2 of them.
Darn right. They're highly rated, too.
That's right. That's absolutely.
Let's see if they go back to Kevin Harris. It was the second effort last time on a 4th and short by number 20.
And now a false start. Ooh, that's big.
False start, offense, number 89. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That's the second time a South Carolina receiver has gotten a procedure penalty. Before it was DeCarrion Joyner that was early, and now Jakari Caldwell. You have to wonder what the play call was. I almost think they might have been thinking to take a shot. Otherwise, there's no reason as a receiver, if you're going to hand the ball off and run it right up the middle, why you would need an early start.
Now, Parker White's got plenty of leg to get it there, but this would be a career long. 53 yards. And he hooked it too much. Say that about 5 times around.
That's right. Man, what a huge penalty. You take the timeout early, as you mentioned, thinking you want to extend the drive. I got to think that South Carolina had a shot play called right there. Because you're 4th and short, you're all geared up. I didn't see the move. I didn't see the motion. I had 7 up on the line, it appeared.
Well, 25 seconds to go. Georgia does have 2 timeouts, and they're throwing the football. Burton, first down, up past the 45 to the 46 with 17 seconds left.
Burton with a career day last week versus Mississippi State. 8 catches, exploded really in that football game, almost 200 receiving yards, a couple of touchdowns.
Georgia does use their second timeout. Yeah, he was the SEC Freshman of the Week last week with that performance.
Well, he was a guy that Todd Monken and the coaching staff, they were all saying, look, the guy's too good of an athlete. His body control is what really stood out. We got to find a way to get him on the field, start moving guys around. That's how Kyrus Jackson ends up in the slot. And that kind of bumped back Demetrius Robertson to second string. You know you're going to have George Pickens out wide. They had to find a way to make room for their true freshman in Jermaine Burton.
Podlesny's got a big leg. He kicked a 51-yarder against Tennessee, so he need just about 20 yards to get in his range. With 1 timeout in 17 seconds. Daniels to the sideline, and that's caught down at the 30-yard line. Oh, it's picked off now. How in the world did Jamie Robinson end up with that football?
The ball sailed a little bit, but you see the shot that Kyrus Jackson took.
Well, that's how.
What a great play.
How about that?
Jalen Foster was the one that jarred it loose, and it ends up in Jamie Robinson's hands. Kyrus Jackson has this football. It sails a little bit. And Jalen Foster runs underneath it, and that's just enough contact. Jars the ball loose. And Jamie Robinson, who was coming over from his safety spot, comes up with the turnover.
I'm sure they're going to take another look at, well, no.
3rd and final charge timeout of the half. Georgia, 30 seconds.
I'm sure Kirby Smart would like them to take another look at this to make sure that Robinson had a foot down and had possession of the football, but that was unbelievable. Jackson taking that hit and somehow Robinson coming up with the football.
This is his 2nd career pick. First one he's had this season. Almost have to think, obviously you want to get this call right defensively. If you're Georgia, I also think maybe they want to take another look at it. Kyrus Jackson almost makes a great catch, bounces right off of him. He's definitely inbounds. Great effort play. Jamie Robinson tracking that ball. It was really Jalen Foster running underneath Karis Jackson that jarred it loose.
So Doty from his own 30-yard line with only 9 seconds to go in the half. Under pressure and sacked very quickly by Ojulari to end the half. So Azeez Ojulari with 5.5 sacks now on the season to end the first half as Georgia takes a 28-10 break into the locker room. Coming up, it's the Region's halftime report with Dari Noka and Gene Chisholm.
This number continues to recognize the following students who have been recognized for the maximum number of years of service as a Carolina band member. Noah Herman, Chicago.
I thought the O-line's pushing the pile. They're a little bit down a little bit in terms of D-linemen, so we're trying to take advantage of it.
How would you evaluate the way your defense has played so far?
Hot and cold. You know, we started out well. They got us off rhythm with some speed, fastball stuff. Young quarterback's doing a good job for them. We got to tackle better. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Provided by Coach. All your life is about this sport. The benefit of good hard work.
And the Georgia Bulldogs as we get ready to start the third quarter. I've always wanted to be taller than you.
What kind of shoes you wearing over there, pal?
Man, I ate a lot during
Pretty
Thanksgiving.
impressive.
Grew a foot. With the College Football Hall of Famer Matt Stinchcomb, Melissa Lang, I'm Taylor Zarzer. How about the Dogs' ground game in the first half?
Yeah, 208 yards, and if you don't have that sack from JT Daniels, they would already have eclipsed their season high. Huge holes all first half. James Cook able to get going, ripping off big runs. He finished with almost 100 yards in the first half alone, 2 touchdowns. Zamir White, McIntosh getting in on the action. But really, it's the big boys up front that are doing work. And as Kirby Smart talked about it, going into half, offensively, Georgia taking advantage of South Carolina. They don't have the bodies. Their frontline guys along their defensive front, they aren't out there. Jordan Birch, their prized true freshman. Keir Thomas, one of the better defensive linemen from a versatility standpoint in the conference. He's not out there. Aaron Sterling, Brad Johnson, and Agbury. I mean, some really good football players.
Gamecocks will get it first, Alyssa.
Hey guys, I just caught up with Gamecocks coach Mike Bobo and talked to him about what he said to the team at halftime. He said defensively, we've got to get more guys to the ball. We have got to stop the success they're having running it. I asked him how impressed he was with Luke Doty in the first half. He said he's been impressed with his poise and what he's been able to do in the pocket, but he also reminded the offense that they're not going to win this game on one play. They need to be consistently better across the board.
See if they're able to do that here on this first possession with Doty, who was very good with intermediate throws, 11 of 13 for 104 yards. Back to the ground. Somehow Harris trying to fight off Monty Rice, unable to do it. Let's take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Zaxby's.
Well, it was impressive, to say the least. And it starts with the rushing yardage, the total yards for Georgia fueled by that. Of course, third downs, highly efficient for Georgia, 4 of 5. And you see the yards per play, almost 9 yards per play, 9 yards per carry in the ground game for Georgia, something that certainly South Carolina's got to find a way to slow that down to have a chance here in the second half.
Doty fakes it to Harris, now throws it behind him. That's a backwards pass, and it'll be marked out of bounds back at the 17-yard line. That's a disastrous play.
The negative yardage, because it's going to get spotted where it goes out of bounds. As you mentioned, this is the same as a fumble. Backwards pass. He's trying to get this ball out late. He had success doing this versus Missouri as he's being tackled. A couple times was able to deliver completions downfield. That time, the backwards pass and negative yardage play, 3rd and forever. A horrible way to open up this possession here in the second half.
3rd and 18 for an offense that really doesn't like to throw the football much, and There's no place to go as Jermaine Johnson gets the sack. A quick 3 and out for Kirby Smart and Dan Lanning's defense.
A lot of youth on that series from Luke Doty. As we talked about what Alyssa was sharing, Mike Bobo was impressed by his poise. At that time, a poor decision that marred that possession. And Georgia with a chance to get the ball near midfield.
Ty Kroger, in fact, is standing in his own end zone. Kearis Jackson, after a great punt, will take it near the 35. He's got daylight. Watch out here. He's got Kroger to beat. Cuts it back, and Kroger saves the touchdown inside the 15.
A booming punt from Kroger. An excellent return set up for Kearis Jackson. He kept it simple. Just get upfield. Don't dance. Pick up yardage right now. He runs right down the numbers. If it weren't for Kroger, he ends up in the end zone as it is. Disastrous way to open up this second half. You get a negative yardage play, sets up a 3rd and forever. An excellent punt return. And Georgia gets their first possession of the second half inside the red zone.
Outkicked the coverage. 52-yard punt, 51-yard return. And it's McIntosh eluding the tackle, cutting it back to the middle of the field, and he's inside the 10. Quickly to Alyssa.
Guys, quick injury update for the South Carolina defense. Ernest Jones, who plays the Mike position, sitting in street clothes right now on the sidelines. He is out with an ankle.
And that's the last guy you want to lose if you're the Gamecocks.
You're right. I mean, that's the mainstay. That was the one cornerstone you still had left in your front 7.
McIntosh out, White in. Zamir pushes the pile inside the 5. Finally whistled down near the 3. And that's 1st and goal.
And Kirby Smart talked about it going in at halftime. You know, it makes sense to keep testing the middle of that defense. Damani Staley, among others, guys that are being forced. They're playing behind the line of scrimmage. Staley was an outside linebacker, more of a rush linebacker coming out of high school. A guy that spends all his time off the line now, trying to play the run in the box.
White right at him. Touchdown. They waited to see where the pile was, and it was clear. It's another Zamir White score. Georgia with its most rushing yards of the season, eclipsing the total they had at Kentucky, and they do it with 11:38 to go in the 3rd quarter.
It's just inside zone, and you see the push repeatedly. We've hit it. MJ Webb was finally able to try to get on top of Zamir White, but not before he'd gotten enough momentum going downhill to get in the end zone.
Well, Georgia had a 28-10 lead, and the Gamecocks had the ball plenty of time in the 2nd quarter and got it first in the 2nd half. Had a chance to maybe make it a 1-score game. Instead, the route is on. 35-10. Kearis Jackson makes the South Carolina team pay with a 51-yard punt return. Zamir White in the end zone. And on the left, the one that finished it off.
Yeah, they kind of ham and egged it a little bit. Special teams. We'll take nothing away from the defense. Zamir White able to punch it in. Kearis Jackson, the fantastic punt return for a touchdown. Just reading the notes, Kearis Jackson was the state champion shot putter in high school. Didn't see that one coming.
Not for a wide receiver?
No.
Dogs can do it all tonight, 35-10 with this lead over the Gamecocks. And this is the Georgia team, at least offensively, this is the team we wondered if we would see going into the season, having to replace Jake Fromm at quarterback. First they thought they would get Jamie Newman the Wake Forest transfer who opted out. Juwan Mathis started the season. Stetson Bennett standing next to JT Daniels over there on the sideline. Started 6 games. Dogs offense looked great tonight in all phases. Hitting Kevin Harris hard on defense as well as Lewis Seen comes up to make the tackle. And the Georgia defense the last couple of weeks has needed to pick up the slack. Granted, Richard LeCount, Julian Rochester, and Jordan Davis are all out.
Yeah, they're down numbers, there's no doubt. Certainly, though, not to their standard from a yardage seeded standpoint, especially last week on the 3rd downs.
Harris, gosh, he runs hard and makes another man miss, as he could have been tackled after a minimal gain. Christopher Smith had a hand on him, but Harris so hard to bring down. 9-yard pickup.
Christopher Smith's going to be sick at number 20. You're seeing it over and over again. It's actually Quay Walker. Yeah, coming up there. That's a linebacker, you know, big body.
And play after play, they go to Kevin Harris. And Mike Bobo said going in, at such a disadvantage given the injuries that South Carolina has at wide receiver, that they were going to have to utilize Luke Doty's athletic ability and feed one of the best tailbacks in the game, throwing it to him and handing it to him.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I mean, it's largely been Kevin Harris. I'm surprised at how little quarterback run game that we've seen in this game. Kevin Harris has done an excellent job as a receiver as well.
Doty wants to throw it downfield, but will keep it himself after a gain of 4. Forced out by Nakobe Dean.
First time we've called Nakobe Deans. We're here tonight. The better linebackers in the conference.
It's been a tackling machine the last 3 weeks with 41 tackles the last 3 games. Amos comes in, giving Kevin Harris a breather on this 2nd and 6. Doty's under pressure and he goes down again. Sack made by Channing Tindall.
It just shows the speed of this Georgia defense. Last week, Luke Doty was dancing all over the football field versus Missouri. Channing Tindall, of course, has a full head of steam as he's coming off of that play fake. Didn't bite on it enough, and they were counting on it.
That's a local kid, too, from here in Columbia. Channing Tindall comes back, playing for Georgia, and gets the sack. And now under pressure again, ball's out, and diving on it is Dylan Wanham. Ojulari with the pressure.
And Azeez Ojulari, really good football player. He was actually squeezing from the opposite side, and Adam Anderson able to come up and under Wanham. Luke Doty having a tough start to the 2nd half.
Georgia defense has stepped it up. Kirby Smart said at the break, got to tackle better, got to get off the field. They have done just that. All Dogs tonight. Must lose next week to Tennessee and then lose in that makeup game to LSU if Georgia's going to go back to Atlanta. On the other side, Alabama only needs 1 more win after the win against Auburn today. A&M would need to win out and combine with 2 Alabama losses. Short story, it's probably going to be Alabama and Florida in the SEC championship game. James Cook gets up near the 42-yard line. Georgia has been gashing the Gamecocks all night.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be more of the same, especially when you're that effective on 1st down. It's 2nd down in the entire playbook as James Cook eclipses 100 yards rushing on the night, 104 now. Georgia's enjoyed pretty good starting field position. They've averaged their own 39 to start drives.
Loading up is Daniels, and he finds Burton open. inside the 45-yard line down to the 41.
I've seen a ton of passes from JT Daniels in this game. Run game has largely dominated the offense for Georgia. But Jermaine Burton has emerged, certainly for JT Daniels, in his short time at quarterback as one of his favorite targets. Kind of a quieter night relative to what we saw last Saturday.
Yeah, hasn't had to tonight. Just 8 of 11 passing as they go back to McIntosh, eluding the tacklers. Looked like he almost took a face mask there, and McIntosh is down at the 35-yard line. Daniels is a completely different game plan than the one that he used against Mississippi State.
Yeah, he is not as essential as he was. The running backs have been. And McIntosh kind of channeling his inner Kevin Harris. A great effort to pick up 5 yards, maybe 6.
White comes in. Daniels will throw it away to the sideline as Dejon Edwards was the intended target. It's 3rd and 4.
Yeah, it looked like he had an opportunity early downfield. Burton running wide open. Safety fell down in his back pedal. And then Daniels had felt the pressure, took his eyes off of the route tree. See 3rd downs. They've only faced 5 of them, has Georgia. They've been excellent, 80%.
McIntosh, without any problem, moves the chains inside the 30. Damani Staley makes the tackle. Again, South Carolina at a massive disadvantage on their defensive front. J.J. Enagbare and Keir Thomas both out tonight. And Georgia pushing the pile play after play. This is a sideline throw to Jackson for a few.
They jumped in their tempo a little bit there. For is the long handoff. Look at the blocking out in front. Demetrius Robertson, that ball a little bit behind Kearis Jackson. A long way to travel. He was headed back towards the line of scrimmage by the time he made the catch.
Dejon Edwards, the true freshman, into the game. And he's the 4th different tailback to touch the football tonight. And he's down near the 20, where it'll be 3rd and short.
Edwards coming in there as Georgia's quick to the line once again. Quick to line up, looking to snap it quick on the 3rd and short.
Edwards, 1st down inside the 15.
It hadn't mattered, really, who's getting the handoffs in the ground game tonight. Georgia's done such a good job of opening holes for the running backs.
And how about this hole? Edwards, touchdown. There is a flag down.
Illegal formation, more than 4 players in the offensive backfield. 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
I can see Kearis Jackson, who's kind of over there pleading his case after the fact. As you see Kirby Smart lamenting the penalty to negate a touchdown. Look at the bottom of the screen. And as we're saying, we're off the line of scrimmage right there. Otherwise,
here's Kaba, the true freshman from Clinton, North Carolina. He's been pressed into action this year due to attrition. Timeout on the field. Let's take a look at the road to the championship, brought to you by Mercedes. Path is clear for Florida and Alabama. Each need just one more win to clinch a spot in Atlanta to compete against each other in what would really be a de facto quarterfinal game.
Right. You know, when you look at those two football teams, and, you know, if you're Florida, you know, one loss coming on the road by 3 points to A&M, and A&M sitting just outside the current college football playoff rankings, top 4 at number 5 in the country.
Daniels takes a shot, and that was dangerous. Almost picked off by Shiloh Sanders. Yes, Dion's kid.
Should have been picked.
Cam Smith is injured.
And this is a bad decision by JT Daniels. He tried to force this one in there. Shiloh Sanders easily could have come up with that pick and gone the other direction with it. You see this right now. And Cam Smith actually ends up kind of, it looks like Smith gets a piece of this football with his right arm inadvertently. He ends up unintentionally breaking up the would-be interception of Sanders. It didn't even look like Burton was looking for the football yet.
10th play of the drive coming up. On 2nd and 15. Daniels to the end zone, and it's dropped. Burton had a hand on it.
He had a shot at it, though. As you mentioned, he drops this ball in there. There's some hand fighting along the boundary. Burton just couldn't quite corral this one. Had a shot at it, no doubt. They'll watch that one on film and know that they missed on that one. Working against Joey Hunter. Pressed into service with that injury to Cam Smith.
3rd down and 15 for Georgia. Must get to the 5-yard line. Edwards with the handoff. And he stopped inside the 15, down at the 14. Jalen Foster on the tackle.
Anticlimactic end to a long drive. And remember, Edwards was in the end zone. It was an illegal formation that brought that touchdown run back. The Dogs will settle for a field goal.
Well, Rodrigo Blankenship had such a terrific career. Jack Podlesny, the redshirt sophomore from St. Simon's Island, Georgia, has come in and had a great year so far. 9 of 11, this from 32 yards. And our new score is 38-10, Georgia.
So I know you're probably trying to figure out where to get your Christmas gifts, and I have the answer for you right here at Academy Sports and Outdoors. They have everything that you might need, including trampolines. Let's just not wait to wrap up the trampoline, put it under the tree. Just go ahead and get it right now so you can have fun all season long, right?
With Matt Stinchcomb and Alyssa Lang, I'm Taylor Zarzer here at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, where the Dogs are all over the Gamecocks tonight. 38-10. Mike Bobo coaching against his alma mater. Stinch, I know that Georgia fans are disappointed because the standard now with Kirby Smart is compete for the national championship. And in 2017, 18, and 19, at least through the SEC championship game, they were doing that. Chances are that's not the case this season.
Yeah, outside looking in this year, all SEC schedule. You drop that game versus Alabama, and then you lose further ground. And you were incapable of capitalizing on plays that were there to be made in the passing game versus the Gators. Starter at the time, Stetson Bennett, separates that shoulder. That was the difference in that ball game. Take nothing away from the Gators. That offense has been special. Second only really the Tide this year offensively. And unsurprisingly, a couple of Heisman front runners at quarterback for both those teams.
That's what you have to have if you're going to compete for a title. And Georgia has discovered their quarterback, but it's taken almost to the end of the season for that to happen. Meanwhile, the Gamecocks have had their own issues at quarterback this year. Colin Hill, graduate transfer from Colorado State, starting the first 8 games of the season. Of course, Ryan Polinsky was the starter in 11 of the 12 games last year. He's still on the roster. Now it's Luke Doty's turn, the true freshman, giving it to the workhorse, Kevin Harris, who's stopped by Zion Lowe.
Hey, you know, if you're a South Carolina fan, at least you're taking a look at that. This is a peek into the future, perhaps. You got a guy in Luke Doty who is nothing if not incredibly dynamic. a guy that, tonight has largely been bottled up as a runner and has quite a bit of ground to cover as a passer. But there's no doubt that his influence on his teammates and his ability can have a big impact on what this offense can look like going forward.
Harris is a sophomore. Doty is a freshman, so start there on offense. Senior Nick Muse has been a bright spot on offense this year, and he's past the 45-yard line for a first down.
Nice move by Nick Muse. Not only you break a tackle right away, but then to reverse field. A couple of shallow cross and mesh right there and runs right through a couple of Georgia defenders. Big gainer.
The William and Mary transfer. A nice season last year, 39 catches last 2 years. Doty skips one in there to Brooks. Of course, Nick's brother, Tanner, is playing for the Gamecocks as well, and now is, or excuse me, Clemson, excuse me, you can't make that mistake. Two-time national champion there, and now he's playing for the Raiders.
Had a couple of national championships. Now at the next level, Nick Muse, he has certainly made his presence felt in this offense this season. They've had to have him step up. He's had a good game.
Oh, and look, this play's blown up. Somehow, Zaquandre White, playing both ways tonight, was able to get to the sideline. The Georgia Bulldogs were there in the backfield as the handoff was made.
Well, that time the defensive line, they just jet up field right now. Jalen Carter, he's seen that play enough times at this point to kind of anticipate it. Blew up field and blew that whole mesh point and handoff up. And you see a lot of pulling guards in this game. And that penetration undid that play.
Well, Deshaun Fenwick tonight. Another grab by Muse, who's wrestled down at the 45-yard line by Seam. It'll be short after a pickup of 14.
Oh, but just shy of it.
Fourth and short.
Ball over the middle. It looked like Muse's second effort almost got it there.
On 4th and 1, White moves the chains. It's kind of been the story of South Carolina's season. You got guys playing both ways. Will Muschamp, the head coach of the Gamecocks until 2 weeks ago, was talking about that all season. That just week after week, the issues they had with availability is just Jalen Brooks with no place to go as Tyson Campbell takes him off his feet.
And that was just a bust. Tyson Campbell's supposed to be blocked by the inside receiver. It's part of the reason why Luke Doty, you see him kind of hinge. He wasn't setting that up for a pump fake. He looks out there and he's like, wait a second, you're supposed to be clean. Missed a blocking assignment out there at wide receiver.
Doty picked off. It's Campbell stepping in front, coming back the other way. Slips a tackle and is inside the 35-yard line. Tyson Campbell with his first interception of the season, the junior from Plantation, Florida.
He was on Jalen Brooks and he falls off of coverage, just reading the quarterback's eyes. Watch Luke Doty. He's trying to fit it in there. And Tyson Campbell just falls right underneath that throw.
It's a 40-yard return. It gives Georgia the football towards the end of the third quarter at the South Carolina 31. Back to the ground. McIntosh with those huge holes all night. This is 10 more.
Warren Erickson in there now. Offensive front and right guard for Georgia.
It's kind of hard to believe that given the back and forth this rivalry is created in the 20th century, especially in this decade, in the last 10 years, with each team winning 5 times, this would be a get-right game for Georgia's ground game, but that's been what it is tonight. McIntosh stumbles but gets inside the 10-yard line. There's a flag down. White has 84 yards. McIntosh, depending on this call.
Holding. Offense number 50. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
He has 79 and Cook's over 100. Incredible performance by them tonight.
That's Warren Erickson. I just mentioned him in there. He rotates at times with Ben Cleveland at right guard. He's in there at center. It was around this part of the field in the previous drive where Georgia run the football well, ends up with a procedure penalty, a legal formation, now a holding penalty.
Georgia's going to take a 4-touchdown lead into the 4th quarter in this rivalry game between two old friends, Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo. Latest big play by the Dogs is an interception by Tyson Campbell. Gets to wear some hardware. That Aggies defense all over LSU tonight. Here, JT Daniels, first play of the 4th quarter. Hello, touchdown all the way to the end zone as it's Arian Smith.
Smith on the Georgia touchdown.
Smith looked like he was fired out of a rocket. Out of a cannon, man. We were told by the coaches, make sure he is on your board. We're going to get a ball to him. And they did. Got coaches rolling ankles over there trying to celebrate with these guys.
You know, they all take those lessons from Kirby. He's been doing that for years.
Yeah, he's doing that to get somebody's attention.
How about that? Arian Smith, a true freshman. Bradley, Florida, getting some congratulations on the sidelines. They had probably a
delay the game. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Still a try.
He had a few minutes to think about that, knowing it was about to happen.
That's a good-looking ball from JT Daniels, an open receiver to throw at, working against Joey Hunter. And you talk about a short-handed secondary that got even more short-handed tonight. Cam Smith injury. Guys were pressed into starting roles, and the passing game popping up for Georgia.
Well, the Dogs have found their quarterback. There's no doubt about that. But this offseason, there were all kinds of options. You know, you had Mathis, Bennett, Beck, Jamie Newman transferred in from Wake Forest, but then opted out before the season started. That was aggressive. JT Daniels comes in, starts last week, throws for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Speaking of aggressive, that's an aggressive mustache that has since been removed.
Yes, that's right, man. Maybe the mask pulled it off. Regardless, quieter night tonight. You know, the interception was a strange one. You know, kind of bounced off Karis Jackson. The 10 of 16, efficient, 139 yards. And you know, really, it's been all about the ground game. And so you've got back-to-back weeks, polar opposites. You know, they needed every one of those touchdown throws a week ago to beat Mississippi State, just to keep pace with the Bulldogs.
So I'm sure all Georgia fans that are watching, and I'm sure they've been doing this to you all week, given your legendary status with the school, but they've been asking, where was he? Why did it take so long? This is a mistake. White is going to be tackled. I guess they'll give him the 2-yard line. We'll get to Daniels in just a second, but nice tackle by Sherman, and they're going to mark this, let's see, at the 2. Wow.
Yeah.
Of course, you can call a fair catch anywhere inside the 25-yard line.
That's exactly what his coach is letting him know. Now you've got your offense backed up, little to no breathing room. And White's defense, he's played defense, played running back, he's returning kicks.
Amos, he'll give him breathing room. Stays on his feet near the 35-yard line.
Nice run of Rashad Amos. I should bounce this run. Great job. He was heading towards the point of contact, right on the right side of that offensive line. You see defensive coordinator Dan Lanning coaching up his players real time as fog rolls in to Williams-Brice.
This is Amos again. Not much. All right, let's get back to Daniels here. So I'm sure everybody was saying, gosh, that was great last week. He looked great. He looks great tonight. What took so long? Kirby Smart, yesterday in our call with him, gave some really level-headed perspective on the situation with JT Daniels and why it took until last week for him to start at quarterback.
You know, part of it was the guy was not even on the radar screen when he's getting his knee kind of repaired for the second go-round. Comes in to rehab his tail off. Athletic trainer Ron Corson said I've never seen a guy beat him to the facility so consistently trying to get back out on the field.
It's passed to Muse, and Nick is in to Georgia territory.
And it took that time, I think, although he was medically cleared, was JT Daniels, he had to become ready to play. You know, just because you can play doesn't mean that you're actually ready to play. Another big one to the tight end for South Carolina. And so he kind of begged his way on to go down there and work with the scout team. Look, squad, face this defense. This isn't a good defense to build your confidence against, especially during summer camp. Todd Monken talked about it. For all the quarterbacks, you almost wonder if that's what informed Jamie Newman's decision to tap out before the season even started. JT Daniels, coming off that injury, was kind of in limbo from a rehab standpoint before he landed here. As you see him talking with his receivers.
Well, and if you have two surgeries, and the second surgery you do it on your own when you're not still at USC, you haven't gotten to Georgia yet, can understand Kirby's concern, making sure I got to see if this guy's knee is okay before we really put him out there on the field. Nice pass by Doty again to Muse.
Big hit from Lewis Seen. Seen has to come out almost immediately. I don't know if it's an equipment issue or not. Remember, he was in concussion protocol after the game versus Florida.
Doty with a great job not giving the ball to Zaquandre White, and that's the athleticism that Mike Bobo was talking about. As Tyreek Stevenson makes the tackle inside the 25-yard line. Look at this, he wanted to give it to White and realized that would be a terrible decision. Kept it himself.
Tyreek Stevenson right on top of the mesh point. Doty making it happen.
Now White inside the 15 down to the 14. Of course, White is the guy that took the kick return, and Gamecocks started this drive at their own 2.
We've seen a couple of impressive drives for South Carolina. True freshman quarterback in his first start. Shoestring roster from a skill position standpoint. They're still finding ways to move the ball.
White will get down to the 12-yard line, where it'll be second down. Playing both ways. He's been a running back, a linebacker, running back, linebacker. Tonight he's doing both of those things. And a kick returner. Started his career at Florida State and went to a couple of junior colleges before ending up at South Carolina. They had high hopes for him before some injuries in camp. 2nd and 8. He bounces it outside, dives over, and then is tackled after a gain of maybe 1. It's Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, that's the most athletic run for no gain I've seen in a while. How about this hurdle? And he lands on his feet. It looks like, you know, a lot of times you'll see guys hurdle. They're going down. Yeah, they might get their feet back down for a little bit, but they're going to stagger to the ground. It looked to me like White was going to be able to gather himself and keep running if it weren't for Walker to make that tackle.
3rd and 7. You see Muse and Prentice move from one side of the line to the other. Doty keeps it himself. Is out of bounds. He'll be shy of the first down. It'll be 4th and a couple as the fog is rolled into Columbia. Maybe by way of Oregon last night. You could barely see the field in that Beaver win over the Ducks last night, one coast to the other.
Thank goodness they were wearing highlighter jerseys. Otherwise, you're right, exactly right. Wouldn't be able to see the players on the field. South Carolina's been 100% tonight on 4th down. See if they can keep their perfect mark, 2 for 2.
Doty sprints out to Muse, a career night, and it's a touchdown.
Another impressive drive for South Carolina. Nick Muse, what a night he's had. He's up in the end zone again and repeatedly. We've talked about it, no Shi Smith. They had to have somebody pop up. Nick Muse has been there, but he hasn't been the primary, and tonight, as is often the case, found ways to get him the football, and he's capitalized.
Extra point is partially blocked. No good. Jalen Carter, I believe, got a hand on it. 11-play, 98-yard touchdown drive as the graduate transfer from William and Mary, Nick Muse, biggest night of his career. A little more gray than he had when he was being protected by Matt Stinchcomb. I might add, decades ago. Back in the mid-90s. There's Stinch over there on the left, number 79, and there's Mike Bobo saying we're going to give it to number 19, Hines Ward, in some way, shape, or form, probably.
That's right. Not a bad plan.
Yeah.
Only a quarter century ago. Wow.
That's crazy, isn't it? This is Jackson. Great punt return, a couple of good kick returns tonight too, and he gets it past the 30-yard line. Mike, of course, was at Colorado State for 5 years and came back to this coast to be the offensive coordinator for his great friend Will Muschamp this year, and I can tell you that he is just as upset as anybody that it didn't work for Will here at South Carolina, and that he was pressed into being the interim head coach. He, like the rest of us that have been around Will for a long time, think the world of him. I'm sure he's watching tonight. 1st and 10 with the carry to Edwards, and Edwards will get a few. And Mike said he wants to continue to be an offensive coordinator. He wants to continue to call plays in college football, no matter where that is next year.
Well, a guy can coordinate offense, there's no doubt. I mean, his offense is, you look back to his years at Georgia, and the numbers speak for themselves. There's no doubt that he can coach and he can recruit as well. It'll never likely be felt here at South Carolina. A short stay certainly didn't go the way they intended. They have a ton to work with coming into this season. Had some opt-outs at receiver, especially. Otre Smith, Andricus Davis choosing not to play. Shi Smith really that only known piece, although we've seen Nick Muse emerge this season. Losing Marshawn Lloyd, who was thought to be a real difference maker at running back. Lost him to an ACL in preseason. Just derailed that season early on, especially offensively.
Well, you know how much Coach Muschamp cares about all these guys that he recruited. He's a class act guy. He's just a pleasure to work with, really. Throughout his tenure as a head coach at Florida and South Carolina. We wish him well in the future. Edwards looking good here in the 4th quarter, and he bounces it up to the 45-yard line. Now, for who will be next here in Columbia, they've already started that process, interviewing candidates, and they've had several conversations. In fact, they've had one with Shane Beamer, the Oklahoma assistant head coach who worked in the Southeastern Conference. Of course, worked at Virginia Tech as well. Jamie Chadwell's having all that success with the Chanticleers this year. Billy Napier has ties to the area. Hugh Freeze at Liberty's having a great year. And Jeff Monken, the Army head coach. Of course, that's Todd Monken, the Georgia offensive coordinator's cousin. Those are just some of the candidates that the Gamecocks are thinking about. 2nd and 2. Edwards gets the first down. What do you think that South Carolina should be looking for?
Well, I know what they've said they're looking for. You know, Ray Tanner came out and said, we want a head coach that's offensive-minded, or at least make a hire, offensive-minded, a creative offensive coordinator. So, you know, the real thing more than anything else, and we've seen this other places, when Sam Pittman goes to Arkansas, he wanted that job. He really wanted it. Nobody thought it was going to be a good hire. You didn't win the press conference hiring Sam Pittman. That program's a different program under him. You can tell, obviously, here, you know, on the heels of the Steve Spurrier era, it wasn't going to be easy. It's the most successful head coach that this program's ever seen. You think about 3 11-win seasons. You win the division in 2010. You beat Clemson, what, 5 years in a row? That's going to be really tough to replicate. That's a tough guy to follow, there's no doubt. But those are some strong candidates that we just put up there, there's no doubt. You know, there was reports this week, Scott Satterfield was a candidate, at least from the South Carolina's perspective. You know, he's since put out statements indicating that he's going to stay at Louisville. But there's no doubt the challenge is different here now. You know, when Will Muschamp got here, when Steve Spurrier was coaching here, from a facility standpoint, this program was probably close to last when it came to bringing in recruits and even functioning as a program. That's not the case anymore. They've got fantastic facilities here at South Carolina.
Edwards is running hard. The Dogs are over 300 yards rushing now. Tonight's first time they've done that since the beginning of the 2019 season. Well, I don't know who they end up with and who Ray Tanner, the athletic director, decides on. But Shane Beamer was here when Steve Spurrier had that success, at least for several of those years.
Coached at Georgia with Kirby Smart for some years before he joined Lincoln Riley out in Oklahoma. No head coaching experience for Shane Beamer. And you wonder how big of a box is that for Ray Tanner and President Caslen here at South Carolina to be able to check. Kirby Smart, of course, had never been a head coach before he came to Georgia.
Edwards all drive long, and it's another first down inside the 25-yard line. Kirby's now all of a sudden has a little bit of a coaching tree.
Yeah, you know, you think Mel Tucker goes to Colorado for a season, bounces up to Michigan State.
Beat Northwestern today.
Huge victory for Sparty. Wow. And the Big Ten, you know, Ohio State sitting at home again this week. Game canceled. But you're right, Sam Pittman now, head coach at Arkansas. Shane Beamer getting a look, potentially to be a head coach here in the SEC as well.
Play after play, it is Edwards, who now has 11 carries on the night. Georgia has over 310 yards as a team.
See Edwards pointing over there to the sideline. Hey, does anybody else want to get in here? He hasn't gotten a ton of carries, but
he got all 8 on this drive before he goes out here.
Starting to wear out. As a young player, you don't want to make too much of a habit of that. You see Kirby Smart coming over there, a little pat on the head. Working hard on this drive.
They'll go to the bench here and bring in another tailback down to the 13-yard line as we tackled there after a gain of a few.
That's Prather Hudson.
Yeah, Prather Hudson, who's played some defensive back, is now going to play some tailback as a graduate player.
Got all smiles over there on the sideline. Yeah, man, got in there. Let Edwards come over there, get a little water, get a blow, get back out on the field. Prather Hudson, I think, was the one that ran into Laura Rutledge a couple of years ago while she was doing a sideline report.
Oh, boy. Park skipped a beat on that one that night. Edwards gets down to the 10. All right, let's take a look at the 5-star play of the game, brought to you by Yellowwood.
Well, there have been some big plays in this game, there's no doubt. But as a former O-line guy, that one's my favorite, mainly because the hole was just so darn pretty. It just so happened it was James Cook carrying the football. Could have been anybody. I think Alyssa Lang could have scored on that one.
Of course she could.
She's a tremendous athlete. I have no doubt the hole wouldn't need to be that big, but that was a really well-blocked play by the Georgia offense.
She showed off some speed last year on the road. We traveled together. It's debatable. Edwards inside the 5, down to the 3.
No, I think she won that race. Didn't she?
I think that everybody was pulling for her. She said it was a tie. The videotape seemed to look like it was a tie.
Sure.
She was friendlier to me than the rest of everybody else who was watching. It's great to have Alyssa back here with us tonight. What has been such a crazy season. All of us trying to do our best to be healthy and safe. But it certainly has come at a cost for our traveling band. 3rd and 1. The Edwards show continues. Down near the goal line to the 1. And it'll be 1st and goal, and we'll see if that will be that. If Kirby wants to let Edwards finish this drive off, I don't think Mike Bobo would have a problem with that if he decides to let him do that. Or simply take a knee.
Yeah.
That's what they'll do. Well, and that just shows the class that Kirby Smart has and the appreciation that he has for his old teammate Mike Bobo. 45-16, the final tonight. Number 9 Georgia improves to 6-2 on the season with a decisive victory.
A couple old friends, former teammates, shaking hands in midfield. JT Daniels off a fantastic debut, a more workmanlike approach here tonight on what was a dominating rushing performance by the Georgia offense versus a beleaguered South Carolina roster, just decimated not only by injury, opt-outs, and COVID.
And 4 tailbacks that had over 75 yards rushing, and he ended the game on a drive that lasted over 9 minutes.
Literally just draining it down. But that was the story of the night, and it started early. Had a couple of big explosive plays on that opening possession, but then very quickly, the Georgia rushing attack that did not even exist a week ago really emerged. As you see a collection of quarterbacks there, Ryan Helinski, Colin Hill, JT Daniels greeting one another at the end of this one. It's a rivalry, there's no doubt. After last year,
well, a lot of these kids played together in high school too. I mean, with all the South Carolina kids that are from the state of Georgia that Will Muschamp recruited. Back for more in just a moment as the Dogs beat the Gamecocks 45-16.
Did a really good job tonight. You know, it was a really different type game. Didn't ask him to do a lot, and he did what we asked him to do. Probably left some plays out on the field that I know he would like to get back, but he's really smart. He's done a good job. We got to keep working him in the pocket, and we got to get healthy around him to help him. But the run game was his friend tonight.
You guys had a ton of success offensively, running the ball, spreading it out to a lot of guys. How much confidence does that give you going forward?
It helps a lot. You know, South Carolina's got a lot of guys out, a lot of guys beat up. We do too, and it's been a tough year in terms of injuries for everybody. And I thought that our guys overcame a lot tonight, especially in the run game.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Appreciate it.
8 yards per play on first down, 8 of 10 on third downs. The offense was terrific in every phase. Alyssa Lang is on the field with head coach Kirby Smart.
Coach, how would you evaluate the way your young quarterback played now 2 weeks in a row?
He did a really good job tonight. You know, it was a really different type game. Didn't ask him to do a lot, and he did what we asked him to do. Probably left some plays out on the field that I know he would like to get back, but he's really smart. He's done a good job. We got to keep working him in the pocket, and we got to get healthy around him to help him. But the run game was his friend tonight.
You guys had a ton of success offensively, running the ball, spreading it out to a lot of guys. How much confidence does that give you going forward?
It helps a lot. You know, South Carolina's got a lot of guys out, a lot of guys beat up. We do too. And it's been a tough year in terms of injuries for everybody. And I thought that our guys overcame a lot tonight, especially in the run game.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
50 wins for Kirby Smart in less than 5 seasons as the head coach at his alma mater. Thanks to Rick, Steve, and our entire production team tonight. For the College Football Hall of Famer Matt Stinchcomb and Alyssa Lang, I'm Taylor Zarzer from Williams-Brice Stadium, where it was all Georgia Bulldogs tonight, blowing out the South Carolina Gamecocks. Dari Noka and Gene Chizik have it after the break. So long.